Hi, my name is Kyle Godfrey, and this is my video book review of Data versus Democracy by Kris Shaffer. In Data versus Democracy, the author Kris Shaffer argues that human attention is being fought over by big tech and media. Both push propaganda on their audiences to create further division to keep users engaged so big corporations make more money. By dividing our attention, Linda Stone says consumers/users are pushed into a state of continuous partial attention where thinking is not dominated by anyone. Since media, tech, and large companies are fighting for our attention by appealing to our animal-like brains, civilization has moved from a commodity-based economy to an attention-based economy. Reference Shaffer, 2019, page 17. This shift has forced companies to publish divisive content to keep viewers emotionally engaged, so they have a vested interest in returning for more content. The author in Data versus Democracy argues human brains have evolved to the point they can be manipulated by appealing to things that helped humans survive and thrive throughout much of history. Marketers are using tactics like confirmation bias to confirm certain beliefs, which makes consumers feel they are correct in their decision making. The author argues this creates a vicious cycle of repeating the same behavior, and no growth or change occurs unless users change what they search for by understanding how the algorithms work. Although I agree with much of the author's findings in Data versus Democracy, I ultimately disagree in his principle that big tech should be censored, which implies a government would run a publicly held company. John Sample, one of my references, says social media are, of course, economic institutions. They need to generate or have a prospect of generating revenue beyond the cost of providing the service. See my reference below, Sample's 2019. The mere fact that these companies exist, are profitable, and are not run by the government is a huge benefit to society. Humanity should celebrate big tech being publicly held, where the public can decide the fate of the corporation. The people should not rely on government, but should vote themselves. I further disagree with the author of the book that regulation is needed for big tech. In the introduction on page XVII, the author says, "It is my aim in this book to bring that education, foster care, and yes, encourage that regulation. Ultimately, the American people need to vote on what kind of power they want big tech and media to have." BBC.com has an intriguing article on what democracies might do that support an argument against government regulation. After a report published by the Forum for Information and Democracy that shows several countries are actually considering regulating social media. A core recommendation of that study was the report of a certain type of statutory build code for social media platforms. My reference is Fox 2020. See references below or in the attached. Agreed upon structural codes for big tech could be voted on by the people to ensure the power remains with them and not with big tech and big media. So all in all, the author makes great points, but it is disagreeable that big tech should be regulated. The power to decide the fate of publicly held companies does truly belong to the public. Shareholders of these corporations need to use their ownership and vote during shareholder meetings. Ultimately, the people decide the fate of these publicly held big tech corporations.